The story of the St. John Chamber of Commerce begins on the sunny morning of April the 5th, 1819, at Mr. Cody's Coffee House on the southeast corner of King and Prince William Streets. It was here on that fateful morning that a group of local business leaders led by William Black met to discuss the formation of a local business association. The purpose of this association was to correspond with similar bodies in other provinces and the public department in England. At this meeting, the Chamber of Commerce was formed, with William Black elected president, Hugh Johnston Jr. vice president, and Lachlan Donaldson secretary. Because St. John was a thriving seaport, from the beginning the Chamber took an active interest in the areas of transportation and communication, actively promoting increased trade with the West Indies in particular and the Dominion in general. By 1872, with St. John growing at a steady pace, the board decided it was time to incorporate as a local body that would be part of a national organization. By the end of the year, they had received their charter and helped form a Dominion Board of Trade. Although they had now grown into a corporate body with national affiliations, the basic focus of the board still remained the same. A prime example of this is the fact that in 1883, the Central Railway Committee, International Bills of Lading Committee, Postal Committee, and Bay Service Committee were amongst the busiest of the board. By 1913, the board added immigration to its focus, that winter operating a booth at an immigration building, which allowed the newly arrived immigrant to view the advantages of New Brunswick in general and St. John in particular against the disadvantages of their former homeland. In the same vein, it was an agent for the Imperial Home Reunion Association. The board also reunited families by bringing the absent members to St. John so they could reunite, bringing in 1913 alone 53 such members to St. John. The Traffic Committee was also busy that year, setting the freight rates on the Intercolonial, obtaining a new packet service twice a week, year-round to the south shore of Nova Scotia, and having a foghorn placed to aid transportation. In 1922, entertainment became a focus of the board, who that year helped initiate the creation of the New Brunswick Films Limited, which produced Blue Water, the first feature film made in New Brunswick. By the 1930s, with the civic interest running high in St. John, the board decided it was time to take a more active role in civic government. This action led to the formation of the Civic Improvement League, which in 1936 managed to change the form of civic government. With the conclusion of the Second World War, the board felt that for St. John to grow more, hydroelectric power was needed. Initiating talks with the province and other concerned bodies on this issue, a plan was developed which led to the development of the Beechwood and Mactaquac power dams. By the mid-50s, with tourism growing in St. John, the board also decided some coordination was needed. So in March of 1955, they presented a brief to Common Council on the matter. This brief led to the creation of a full-time tourist coordinator. Other initiatives of the board in the 50s were the creation of a Port and Industrial Development Bureau, which in later years became the St. John Port and Industrial Development Commission, and the creation of the United Way of Greater St. John. In the 60s, the board continued their fast pace by helping to initiate the creation of the Social Service Council of Greater St. John, Consumer Business Information Bureau, St. John Chapter of the National Secretaries Association, Joint Labor Management Standing Committee, Statistical Information Center, Provincial Study Committee on Mental Health Services, and a free garbage collection system throughout the city. Along with these ventures, the board also managed in the 60s to be a major player in the amalgamation issue of 1967 and foster growth of UNBSJ, while at the same time creating their own water committee, designated areas incentive program, and growth center concept. The 70s saw a return to past issues with the board pushing for power generation stations at Colson Cove and Point Lepreau, a new regional hospital at Milledgeville, and commercial developments in the uptown area, Brunswick Square, Market Square, also receiving strong support from the board. With the creation of the St. John Central Business Development Corporation in 1976, added to those accomplishments, the 70s would prove to be a banner decade for the board. The Canada Games in 1985 and Festival by the Sea the same year were endeavors of the 80s that received strong support from the board. Also, transportation was a focus as always, with the board pushing for better road, rail, sea, and air connections with other parts of Canada and abroad. The board supported the building of the Civic Centre and an expanded cruise ship destination locale policy. At the same time, the board supported a sanitary landfill at Crane Mountain and initiated the creation of Enterprise St. John. Our entrepreneurial spirit and commitment to action remain strong. As we reflect on our history, it is evident the Chamber will continue to evolve and reflect the interests of our dynamic business community. One of our greatest milestones was merging 4 regional chambers, including the St. John Board of Trade, Kennebecasis Valley Chamber of Commerce, West St. John Business Association, and River Valley Chamber of Commerce to speak with one voice. Because together, we know we are stronger. With our people, our city, and our province, we will continue to confront our challenges head-on and celebrate our successes together. Our future is bright, thanks to you. Here's to another 200 years.